Lady Luck was not on the St. Louis Cardinals side as they slipped much lower than expected in the MLB Draft lottery. Awesome.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafron, and I am a former national radio sports anchor, born and raised in St. Louis. I'm a lifetime Cardinals fan. You can thank my parents for that. And welcome to another episode of Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Thank you to our everydayers for continuing to be here with us. And for those of you who are new, welcome in. Hope you enjoy the content. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving you all the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode being brought to you by FanDuel. Now, if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com. Do it and place your NFL live bets all season long, even going into the playoffs. All right, on today's show, we've got the latest news and notes from the winter meetings. Things kind of started off with a bang on Tuesday and then came to a bit of a screeching halt, slowed down pretty quickly. We'll get you the latest on what's going on with the Cardinals and the latest rumors and such with that. But we're going to start today with the bad news from Tuesday night, which was the fall of the St. Louis Cardinals in the MLB Draft lottery. Unfortunately, the Cardinals, so they came in with the 8th best odds to land the #1 overall pick. All right? 8th best. Wasn't likely to happen. It's something that has never happened in the history of the St. Louis Cardinals. The highest they've ever gotten was #3 back in 1996, which they used to select Wichita State pitcher Braden Looper, who they in turn traded away a couple of years later in a deal for shortstop Edgar Renteria in 1998. Yes, that one worked out quite nicely. Edgar Renteria goes on to become a St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Famer. In 2024, they ended up with the #7 selection, which was a drop from the #5 spot where their odds were, they were the 5th best odds to get the #1 overall pick. Luckily for them, though, a guy by the name of JJ Weatherholt falls right into their lap at #7. He slides, was possibly the #1 overall pick. He's on a path to the big leagues as early as opening day. Could happen. Everybody's excited about him. I've been watching on YouTube, highlights from his days in West Virginia, and of course this year at Springfield and Memphis. And dude, he's a stud. So even though they fell back a couple spots, it worked out for them with JJ Weatherholt. Then last year, Lady Luck was on the Cardinals side. If you remember, odds to land the #1 overall pick was just 0.8%. which was the 13th best percentage. And they ended up flying all the way up to the #5 pick, snagged themselves left-hander Liam Doyle out of Tennessee. We saw him at a Bruins and Blues game in Boston recently, so that was cool. He was rooting for the Blues. This year, they were slotted in with the 8th best odds at the #1 pick, but it all flipped on them this year. They fell all the way to #13. with the Chicago White Sox who had the best odds to get the #1 pick in the first place. They end up getting the #1 overall pick, as they should have. They haven't had that first pick since 1977 when they selected Hall of Famer Harold Baines, who was also the representative at this year's lottery. So that worked out nicely for them. It was Ray Langford for the Cardinals, in case you didn't watch it. As far as overcoming tough odds like the Cardinals did last year, the Rays, they jumped. They went from 7th to the 2nd pick. Giants went from 12th all the way up to #4. Royals went from #13 to #6. On the other side of things, the Twins fell from #2 to #3. Not a huge slide, but still, that's annoying, right? If you're a Twins fan. The Pirates went from #3 to #5, so that's upsetting for them. Orioles go from 4 to 7. A's went from 5 to 8. Braves from 6 to 9. Nice. Then you got the Cardinals. Dropped from 8 to 13. Super duper, right? Ugh. Now we can freak out and scream things like, hey, ping pong balls suck. Maybe take out our anger on them in a vigorous game of beer pong this weekend. SantaCon is going on, so I'm dressing up as Santa for the first time. Maybe I'll smash some ping pong balls. Maybe that'll happen. But the Cardinals did get lucky last year, and if Doyle becomes the guy most scouts think he can be, then I suppose it's worth it. But I don't know. Maybe we should just stay bitter because it's more fun that way. Like the Riddler in Matt Reeves' The Batman. This is not how this was supposed to go. It wasn't. We had it all planned out. Great flick if you haven't seen it, by the way. Paul Dano, excellent, as usual, as Riddler. But the hope was the Cardinals would get another lottery pick. But if they didn't, if things didn't work out and they didn't land in the top 6, that they would at least be hanging around like the 7 or 8 spot, not free fall to number 13. That's not what we wanted. Now, sure, they could still land a good player there, but when you're a team that's in this rebuild mode that they are in right now, you want to get as close to what most people would consider the top level, top tier, top notch talent as you can. So dropping out of the top 10 makes that a little more difficult. Now, the last time the Cardinals had the 13th overall pick, that was back in 2008 when they took Mr. Tree Trunk Legs himself, Brett Wallace, out of Arizona State. And similar to Braden Looper, they moved him in a package deal for a much better player. This one was named Matt Holliday. Might have heard of him. Also a Cardinals Hall of Famer. And once again, a trade that worked out quite nicely for the Cardinals. The Cardinals also had the 13th pick in 2000 when they selected second baseman Sean Boyd. How many of you have any idea who Sean Boyd is? Raise your hand. You're the only one, because I don't know who the hell that is. Out of Vista High School in California. They took him as a second baseman. 13th pick. Another second baseman went a couple picks later. Phillies grabbed a guy by the name of Chase Utley 2 picks later. Yikes. Talk about screwing the pooch. Lefty Donovan Osborne was taken by the Cardinals at 13 in 1990. Gary Templeton at 13 in 1974. Also a guy that ended up getting traded for an upgrade. Guy by the name of Ozzie Smith came over from the Padres in exchange for Gary Templeton. Another trade that worked out quite nicely for the Cardinals. According to Derek Gould at STLtoday.com, by drawing the 13th pick, the Cardinals lottery restrictions will now reset. And if they do not reach the playoffs in 2026, they will again be eligible for a top 6 pick. So that's kind of the good news about this situation. Most people don't expect the Cardinals to have a winning season, much less make the playoffs next year. So odds are that they could land a lottery pick again next year. I mean, it'd be great if everything went crazy good and they ended up making the playoffs. That'd be awesome too. But that is, I guess, a positive side to this. But just for fun, what I want to do next is we're going to look at some of the best 13th overall picks in Major League history. Not for just the Cardinals. I named you the guys for the Cardinals, and we're at 13. But we'll talk about some of those because you're going to recognize a lot of these names. So I just want you to know it's not as bad as you think. And we'll also take a look at who are the top prospects in this draft. There's also a mock draft that's already been dropped by MLB Pipeline. I'll tell you who they have the Cardinals selecting at number 13. We'll get into that next, coming up on Locked On Cardinals. NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. Things can change very, very quickly. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. And with FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. These live bets are so much fun. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment, it impacts what's going on with you. Live betting is the best when the game starts to shift and you start to notice that, hey, man, they're really targeting this receiver over here. Maybe I should, go in his direction with what I'm doing on FanDuel. He gets hot, you get hot. A defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump right into the action, into the moment instantaneously. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. The player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown, drive results, totals, and more. It's just going to keep you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. We're late in the season now where maybe your team's not quite as good as you wanted them to be, and they are becoming uninteresting to you. Now you can be excited to watch them again. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Cardinals with no interruptions. We'll get you the members-only Discord access and a whole lot more, all for just $5 a month. Or you can save for a whole year by going $50 a year. Go to lockedonstlcardinals.supercast.com, or you can check the link in the show notes to learn more about it. Would love to have you be a part of it. Now, can the Cardinals find value at number 13? Of course they can. Of course they can. They're a professional baseball organization, people. They can do it. But drafts are always quirky, right? You know, for every star player that you find, there are hundreds and hundreds of guys who are taken that you never hear of again. They just don't pan out. So you never know what's really going to happen when it comes to any draft in any sport, right? So looking at some of the more notable number 13 picks over the years, I was surprised to see as many recognizable names as I did. Like guys that were very impactful major league players that were at the number 13 pick. And I did notice as well as we got closer to the current year of 2025, those picks seem to be getting better. Like that there seems to be more talent that falls to number 13, and teams have been able to take advantage of it. There's some good names in here. So you're going to see some of these recognizable names. There's plenty of the who moments, but we're going to skip over them because you're not going to know who the hell I'm talking about in the first place. So here are some of the good names that went at number 13 that might make you feel a little bit better about where the Cardinals are in the draft this year. 1991, Manny Ramirez, anybody? Goes to Cleveland. It's a pretty good pick, I think. The Cardinals had the number 4 pick that year. And it's not that this guy was bad, but he was no Manny Ramirez. Dimitri Young went number 4 that year. Yeah, I think you'd rather have Manny being Manny for you instead of him. Paul Konerko went to the Dodgers in 1994. He had a solid career. Cy Young winner Chris Sale went to the White Sox in 2010 at number 13. Brandon Nimmo, who just got traded by the Mets, went to those New York Mets in 2011. Solid player. Hunter Renfroe to the Padres in 2013. He's had a couple of really good seasons. Reigning NL batting champion Trey Turner went to the Padres in 2014. So back-to-back years for the Padres at number 13. And they hit on both of them, Renfroe and then Trey Turner, although they never got to enjoy the fruits of Trey Turner because they shipped him. And he's been traded a couple times. Josh Lowe went to the Rays in 2016. He's not the Lau one, is he? Josh Lowe, Josh Lau, Brandon Lowe. Like, I always get confused. I'm never going to get it right. Get used to it. But he went to the Rays in 2016. He's been a solid player. Trevor Rogers just had a big breakout season with Baltimore. He got drafted at number 13 by the Marlins in 2017. Two-time Gold Glove winner Patrick Bailey, catcher, went to the Giants in 2020. In 2021, it was pitcher Andrew Painter, who was ranked number 16 overall by MLB Pipeline and is the third-ranked right-hander in baseball right now. As far as prospects goes, he went at number 13. In 2022, it was Angel shortstop Zach Neto, who is becoming the new face of their franchise as, you know, Mike Trout continues to fade off into oblivion. Zach Neto's kind of the guy that stepped up the last 2 years and has become a very exciting person for them, him and Joe Adell this year. So that was a good pick. And look at that. I mean, it didn't take long for him to get up to the pros, did it? And have an impact. One of the Cubs top prospects, Matt Shaw, we saw him this year, went number 13 in 2023. The last 2 years, it's been the Giants at number 13. They took James Tibbs in 2024. Probably not familiar with him, but he's been a big part of 2 trades now. Both of them happened this past year. He got sent to Boston in that mega package for Rafael Devers. Then the Red Sox shipped him to the Dodgers in the package for now free agent Dustin May. And he is currently their 8th-ranked prospect in the Dodgers organization. So clearly a future. Maybe he's going to get traded for Tarek Skubal now, because that's what everybody's talking about now is the Dodgers are going to go wild and just go nuclear on everybody, and they're going to take Tarek Skubal out of Detroit and give them whatever they want, and everybody's going to just be like, oh, great. Well, I can't wait for this season. Then last year, San Francisco took an infielder by the name of Gavin Killen, and he's their third-ranked prospect. So he's a big deal. So it's not a lost cause. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not a lost cause by any means by having the 13th overall pick. It doesn't mean you're going to get left out in the cold. It doesn't mean whoever you pick is automatically not going to be very good and he's going to be a project or anything like that. You can get a lot of good talent there. And like I said, things, in the last few years, that number 13 pick has had some pretty good names taken and some impactful names. So, and these guys have gotten up to the show quickly. Patrick Bailey, Andrew Painter's going to be there this year. Zach Neto, Matt Shaw. All of these guys were in the pros already. And if you look at the MLB Pipeline prospect rankings for this draft, and you have four shortstops at the top, which is wild, led by UCLA's superstar, Rock Chalowski, who looks incredible. And I guess the White Sox are going to take him because it'd be crazy if they didn't. Anyway, he's the consensus number one. Everybody seems to say, yeah, that's the dude. But if you slide down into their prospect list, go to the 13th ranked prospect, you're going to find Florida pitcher Liam Peterson waiting for you. This is where the Cardinals are going to be in that area. Liam Peterson, an excellent prospect, probably going to go higher than 13, barring anything weird happening with him in Florida. But around him, you've got catcher Von Lackey, who is the number one ranked catcher in this draft from Georgia Tech at number 12, and then number 14, UC Santa Barbara right-hander Jackson Flora. Now, MLB Pipeline, as I mentioned, also put out their first-round mock draft. After all the results were in on Tuesday night, they went and put one together, and at number 13, they've got the Cardinals selecting an outfielder, AJ Gracia. Gracia, I think is how he says it. Anyway, AJ Gracia out of Virginia, who is also ranked number 15 overall on their prospects list. They had this to say about him. He's 21 years old, 6'3", 195, bats and throws from the left side, which, yeah, I know we need another left-handed bat, but don't get crazy about that yet. Anyway, here's what they say about Gracia. The first transfer on this list, he arrives from Duke as an advanced hitter with plus power and fine instincts in center field. The scouting report says when he's locked in, he looks like one of the better college bats in the class. Swinging from the left side of the plate, he makes excellent swing decisions, shows off plus contact skills. His advanced approach led to a Blue Devils record 57 walks as a sophomore, and he really limits his swing and miss. That gives more confidence that he should continue getting to his solid raw power at the next level. And there's definitely the chance that he can keep adding strength to that 6'3" frame. Fringy runner, they say. Scouts give Gracia a chance to stick and center, though, because of his excellent instincts and efficient routes. If a move to a corner is necessary, left field would be more likely because his arm is maybe not as good for the prototypical right fielder. If he can produce like he did in the latter stages of 2025 when he was with Duke for an entire spring, he'll fly off the board. So he's going to be playing for Virginia this year. And he went there, I think, because the coach went there. It wasn't like anything bad happened. I think the coach switched from Duke to Virginia. I think that's what I read, but don't hold me to that. So, I mean, obviously, it's going to be a nice player at number 13. I like this kid. Like, when I was looking at his swing and everything, like, he stands very straight up and down, and he's just, how the lefties, man, they just got these really smooth and beautiful swings, and he's got one of them. He looks really, really good. Now, of course, these rankings are going to shuffle. This is not, I would be shocked if these remain the same by the time we get to the draft in June. Injuries, production, things are going to flip around. It's going to happen. Probably change immensely. But I just wanted to throw out this stuff. I wanted to get you the information. I wanted to get it all out there for you. Because if you were as bummed as I was when it happened, I'm sitting there eating dinner and I'm like, oh, this is good. Oh. And then I was just dejected and like, what? 13? I was bummed. I was bummed about it. Stupid ping pong balls. Anyway. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to get somebody good. So we'll wait and see. June is, 6 months away. 7 months, really, because we're still in the early stages of December. So we got some time. But obviously, we'll keep you posted on what's going on with that and who are the prospects. We're going to cover it the whole time, so don't worry. Up next, how about something that you're really concerned about? Latest rumblings from the winter meetings. Brendan Donovan, JoJo Romero. What's their market looking like so far? Because Cardinals haven't done anything yet. Everybody's just kind of sitting around waiting for it to happen, just like you. I'm sitting here going, okay, guys, let's do something. What's going on? Has the market cooled on Donovan and JoJo Romero? Not exactly. Relief pitchers, though, that's heating up. Second basemen are heating up. A couple of relief pitchers actually signed that might have been on the Cardinals' radar. We'll talk about it next on Locked On Cardinals. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. Where were you in 1994? Were you watching the World Cup? If you were old enough, probably. And with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. It's going to be fun. The World Cup is always cool. Team USA always lets us down. I'm fully prepared for it, but it's fun while it lasts. But let's be honest. Because it's in the States, getting tickets, probably going to be kind of difficult, right? Not with Game Time. That's why the Game Time app is here. It's clutch. It gives fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when those great seats open up, and buy your tickets the moment they hit the app. Puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic. Legitimately realistic instead of impossible. You pull up the app, the layout's super simple. Scroll through the matchups, pick the ones you want, compare your seat views, pick a game, tap the section. Tickets are locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. Prices include all your fees up front. There's no last-second surprises at checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying your World Cup tickets in every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. Did Locked On Cardinals make your Spotify Wrapped? I've seen a couple of people who have hit me up and said, check it out, which I love. You guys are bad. Arse. I don't want to cuss. I don't want to get in trouble. Anyway, prove it on social media, though. If we did make your Spotify Wrapped, prove it on social media to secure a free month of our brand new Everydayer Club. Just tag our national Locked On Podcast Network account on any social platform, and we're going to drop you a code. Be one of the first to join the Everydayer Club to get your favorite show ad-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. So bullpen arms continue to be the hottest commodity so far at the winter meetings. That's the ones that are flying off the shelves at the moment. They're the tickle me Elmos of the generation. Whatever year that was. Remember, that was crazy. But the bullpen arms are what people are signing so far. Two more names off the board following the Edwin Diaz signing with the Dodgers. We had Gregory Soto signing a one-year, $7.75 million contract with the Pittsburgh Pirates, so in the division. And then Kyle Finnegan is going to return to the Detroit Tigers on a 2-year deal worth $19 million. It can max out to $20 million with incentives. If you remember last year, Finnegan hung around for a really long time last year. He didn't sign until late February. Settled on returning to Washington on a 1-year deal worth $6 million. This year, look how things have changed. You know, he's off the board quickly, has tripled his money from last year. He was a guy when we went into this offseason, you know, when you're thinking about, all right, well, he hung around last year. If that happens again, that's somebody the Cardinals could target, right? I thought it could happen. It would make sense for the Cardinals to go after a guy who's got as many save chances over the years and has been as successful as he's been. And if he's still there, maybe you get him for cheap. Well, that's not going to happen. He's gone back to Detroit. Now, Soto's an interesting guy. Soto has got all the stuff you'd ever want. He's quirky. He's unorthodox from the left side. He throws smoke. He's got wicked breaking stuff. But for whatever reason, he has not been able to put it all back together again since he had those back-to-back All-Star appearances with the Tigers back in 2021 and 2022. He was insane, and he's bounced around a little bit. Hasn't really found that home. $7.7 million is a bit pricey for what I thought he was going to go for. I did not see that one coming. I mean, you look at his numbers since those two All-Star seasons, he's got a combined WAR of 0.2. That's not good. He's got a 7-14 record. That's not good. The ERA is at 4.40. It's not great. ERA plus under 100. He's at 95. He's 5% worse than the average relief pitcher. That's not very good. And the Pirates just gave him $7.75 million to join their bullpen. Now we know what the Pirates are doing. Same thing the Cardinals would be doing, right? They're clearly looking to use him until the deadline, hope he increases his value, figures it all out, becomes a stud, and then they can flip him at the deadline. Just like the Cardinals did with Phil Maton this past year. Difference is Phil Maton only cost him $2 million. So it wasn't a big risk. $7.75 million, decent chunk of change. I know the Pirates needed to spend some money, but $7.75 for Soto? Sheesh. That's a lot. Second base market. Apparently that's starting to pick up a little bit. A lot of teams are chasing Ketel Marte. Red Sox, Blue Jays, Mariners, Rays, and possibly the Phillies. That according to John Heyman. It makes sense. You know why? Because he's a stud. I don't know why Arizona's trying to get rid of him. They have to get a haul in return, like crazy value in return to do it, because he's not super expensive for what it would cost to get somebody like that in this day and age. He's awesome and would be awesome on all these teams. So I'm surprised there's not more teams involved, because he's a stud. Now, the ones who miss out on Ketel Marte are the ones that are probably going to be coming down a rung, coming to the Cardinals. Derek Gould from the Post-Dispatch, STLtoday.com, he thinks the same way as I do, that, Brendan Donovan is not the Ketel Marte level, but he's a step down, but he's going to be popular too. Gould says that the Giants, Mariners, Royals, and Pirates have shown interest. John Denton, who covers the Cardinals for MLB.com, took it to another level and said that Brendan Donovan has drawn interest from 18 MLB teams per a source, and that the Mariners, Royals, Astros, and Rays have been the most aggressive suitors. Bottom line, he's a popular item. And this is why, as bad as it is that we don't want to trade Brendan Donovan, you want to keep him around. Again, I was watching JJ Weatherholt highlights today for fun, because that's what I do. And he brought up in an interview that, Brendan Donovan was one of the guys that reached out to him. It was like, hey, anything you need, don't be afraid to reach out. It made JJ feel real good. Would it be nice to have those two together, and having Brendan Donovan teaching JJ Weatherholt how to be a professional baseball player at the major league level? I would love that. But if this many people are trying to get him, that means the price is just going to keep going up and up and up and up. And I told you about the reliever market. Denton also said that JoJo Romero is drawing interest from the Yankees, the Rays, the Astros, Tigers, and Diamondbacks, per a source. But Denton also points out, and I know it gets us excited to hear, ooh, look at all this stuff that could go down. He does point out that Chaim Bloom is not in a hurry to make a move, that there is no timetable for action, said he won't make a deal in the coming days just because the MLB winter meetings are wrapping up. He's got no problem with waiting until that right deal comes to fruition, which is good. I get it. At the same time, though, we're all like salivating about, okay, do something. Come on. It's like that meme with the stick. Come on, do something. But the Cardinals aren't the only team that's been sitting around, and we still haven't heard anything new on Kyle Tucker, although apparently the Dodgers are snooping around him now. Cool. Is Pete Alonso going to find a new home after his time in New York, or is he going to go back to New York? Personally, if I'm him, I'm getting tired of not being a top priority to the Mets. Back-to-back seasons of this, where they're just kind of like, we'll get to you when we get to you. We got other fish to fry. All right. You like that? I want to see Pete Alonso get out of there. I would love it. I would love for it to happen. Disrespect. The polar bear. Padres splash trade. People have been talking about that online. Rumor floating around that AJ Preller is trying to cook up something big. They always do. It hasn't worked. Every time they make these crazy deals, the Padres still haven't won anything. It's fun to play with all your toys like this, but they don't win anything. So is it really working? Cubs apparently had a video call with Alex Bregman. Most people think he'll still go back to Boston. I agree with that. I think that was a great fit. So, but Boston apparently also in on the Ketel Marte stuff. So we'll see. Pirates could be targeting Jorge Polanco, formerly of the Seattle Mariners, after falling short for Kyle Schwarber. Yeah. Also, if you have a Cincinnati Reds fan that's a friend of yours or in the family or whatever, give them a hug. They're having a tough day after falling short on Schwarber as well. They really thought he was going to go there. I tried to warn them. So maybe nothing happens this week. Maybe something does before things wrap up. It would be a bummer because we've been craving this action and answers for next season. We want to know where everybody stands. But Chaim Bloom is going to wait it out. He's going to be like, look, I don't have to trade any of these dudes. You guys want them? Get aggressive. Come to me with more, with better options, better deals. You know, what else you got? What else you got? What else can you throw in? You really want them? How bad do you want them? I don't blame them for doing it. Like I said, I've been biding my time by watching Cardinals prospect videos because that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about the futures of J.J. Weatherholt and Joshua Baez and Rainiel Rodriguez and Quinn Matthews and Bryson Motts. It helps pass the time. It's fun. Those 5 dudes look really good. Obviously, I'm watching highlight tapes and not watching their failures, but man, JJ looks amazing. I love the opposite field power for him and Baez. I love how they look very mature for hitters, especially Baez, because we know how tough it was his first couple of years, and now he's just lacing it all over the yard. JJ, we kind of expect it, but he's just a unit. Rainiel Rodriguez just hitting bombs for Palm Beach. So cool. And then obviously the good stuff that you see from Matthews and Mott. So go check them out for yourself. Maybe it'll make you smile. All right. Any updates that are going on Wednesday? Obviously, give us a follow. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals first listen every day. X, we're available at LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. TikTok, Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. If there's any breaking news, we'll be throwing out shorts. We'll get the information to you as quick as we get it. Like, subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss that stuff. Help our channel and our love for the Cardinals grow. For those of you on video, we're going to send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On MLB. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. We'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.